Hi students, all right, I'm in the content and I am looking at Unit 3, Lab 2, Lesson Introduction. In this lab, you'll change the brightness and color of the main lamp. Goals for the lesson: change the brightness of the main lamp, change the color of the main lamp, change the shadow of the main lamp's light cone. Okay, so hopefully you still have version 1 open. If you don't, you can go to File, Open Recent, and it should be right up there at the top, or you might just have to go in and open your animation folder and get it out of there. Energy. Energy is the brightness of a light. Each lamp has an energy value between 0, completely turned off, and 10, its brightest setting. In this project, you'll be using energy values between 0 and about 1.2, because anything brighter than that will wash out the stage with light. What happens to a light if you add a lot of colors to it? It gets whiter. Additive color mixing. Additive color mixing is the name for what happens when lights of different colors meet in the same area. With paint, the more colors you add, the darker the paint will get. So apparently we can click and drag these colors around. This is pretty fun. With light, the more colors you add, the whiter it gets. Notice the white part in the middle. And if we were looking at paint, this is what happens. It gets darker. But we're working with light. So what's going to happen when we add more colors? It gets lighter. Okay, so next we're going to change the main light's brightness and color. Down here at the very bottom, this area down here, if you hover your cursor over there, it should say current editor type for this area is properties, okay? If not, just click on that. And there's properties right there, okay? So remember what we learned if you watched your Understanding the Blender Interface video in our first class together. I know some of you felt like you didn't need to watch that. You understand that we have 5 different areas on the Blender interface, and that each of those areas at any time can be changed to a different editor type, okay? So right now you're going to make sure that your lamp is selected. Mine is, you can tell because it's orange. Right click on it to get it selected if it's not, and then come over here to this button, the data button. Click on that. And if you just scroll to the right a little bit, or in my case, I don't even have to scroll over, and I can use my scroll bar to roll up and down in this editor to see all of the functions. You can also, remember, click and drag that a little higher. You might have to drag these up a little bit. I'll let ya. There you go. So you can see the entire area. You're going to change the energy to 0.75 and hit enter. And then you can go ahead and click here on the light color, and we'll just change the R, the red value, to 0.7, enter. The green or G value to 0.9, enter. And the blue value to 0.9, enter. Okay, so you'll notice what happened here is that we added more red, more green, more blue, and it's getting lighter, because remember we said when we add all those colors together it gets lighter. If you were right in the middle, that'd be white. Spot size, blur, and distance. Size, blur, and distance are the 3 ways to change the shape of the spot lamp's cone of light. Click the buttons to learn more about them. Spot size is how wide the light cone is in degrees. A higher spot size makes a wider light cone. Spot blur controls how much of the light's cone edge is blurry. A higher spot blur makes a smaller inner cone of solid light. Distance is the length of the light cone before it starts to fade out. If you wanted to change the width of a light cone, which setting would you use? Spot blur, spot width, spot size, or spot grow? The correct answer is C, spot size. Ray tracing is a rendering process that calculates the paths taken by simulated rays of light. This makes more realistic looking lighting and shadow effects, but it can increase rendering time. You'll set the main lamp to use ray traced shadows on the next page. Okay, next we're going to change the type of shadow to a ray shadow. So we're just going to take this scroll bar down at the bottom and slide over to the right a little bit where we can see the shadow, okay, information. And it's on buffer shadow right now. We're going to change it to ray shadow, but I kind of feel like, well, we can't really see any of these changes. So what I like to do, remember, is you can toggle from that solid viewport shading that we're in to the rendered. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on rendered because that shows us what it is really looking like. And I didn't really notice a difference with changing buffer shadow to ray shadow, but go ahead and do that now. Click on ray shadow. And did you notice any extreme differences? I really didn't. And then they also want us to change the soft size right below that to 0.7, enter, and I don't notice a huge difference. You could go Control Z and see if you saw a difference, and then Shift Control Z to redo. Not a huge difference. And we're done. So go ahead and click File, Save to save all of those changes that you just made. In this lab, you changed the brightness of the main lamp, changed the color of the main lamp, and changed the shadow of the main lamp's light cone. Good job. Actually, I just realized I didn't have you actually save this new. So you've got a file save as, and you want this to say version 2, right? I mean, not a big deal if you forgot, but technically this was lab 2, so we're supposed to save it as version 2. Gonna hit enter twice. Hopefully you didn't stop the video before I reminded you of that. All right, so we accidentally just saved over version 1. Not a big deal. When you turn these in, you're just going to turn in the final version to me anyway. That's going to reflect all of these changes. Have a great day. Thanks.